Hey guys, byscreenside here today, bringing you another speed build. This is kind of, I don't even know if I could classify this as a build. It's something very different. Um, I've been doing a lot of apartment renovations lately, so I figured we should probably get out of the apartment and enjoy the outdoors a little bit. So this is a makeover of the park in Willow Creek. So this is the big park lot. And this one took me a while to do. And because of that, I did speed this video up a lot faster than what I normally do. So I apologize if this is a little bit fast. But for one, it is primarily landscaping. There's not a lot of building that's involved here. So I didn't think it would be too like jarring or disorienting or anything to watch this a little bit faster. I can understand with a house because when you're building a house, there's lots of camera rotation that goes into it that can make it a little bit hard to watch if it's going too quickly. But this, I say, as I rotate the camera a bunch, just in this part, this is just something different. So I didn't feel like it would be a big deal to go much faster. And that and when I watch or when I look at how long people tend to watch videos, actually the majority of the speed builds that I see other simmers doing or it's about standard to have about a 20-minute video for a speed build or somewhere in that range, but people don't actually tend to watch videos that long, or at least not my videos. So I think that speeding it up also serves a purpose of, you know, I when watching YouTube videos, people just I kind of like to get a quick clip, or I don't know. I'm just trying to kind of see what works best in terms of what people like to watch as well. So I thought that speeding it up might also make people more inclined to watch it. I don't know. I feel free to let me know what you think about that in the comments. I personally can watch people build in The Sims for a very long time. I watch a lot of different YouTubers, and it's no problem for me to sit through a 20-minute speed build because it's what I enjoy. But I don't know. Ever to each their own. So yeah, feel free to comment and tell me like what your preferences are. But yeah, so I actually built this back in October, the very beginning of October. And also part of the reason for my speeding it up is because I waited this long to put the video out because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about in terms of landscaping for that long of a video. And because there's really so much of that is what is involved in building this. So speeding it up also kind of helps me be able to narrate the video better. Yeah. So two things were the or what I would say would be the inspiration for this park. And the first of which is I was thinking that day for some reason about the Great Serpent Mound, which is a national monument or a national park in Ohio, which is my home state. And you probably haven't heard of it because I mean, I think probably the only reason I'm so familiar with it is because one, I've been there. We went on a field trip in like middle school or early high school. And two, it's if you're not from that state, then, I'm sure there are a lot of national parks that I'm not personally familiar with because I'm not near them or they've never come into my anyway, talking crushed it. So yeah, the Great Serpent Mound is it's actually a prehistoric mound, which is I guess there are probably different types of mounds. I'm not that huge of a history buff. I did look this up on Wikipedia though before I started to talk about it because I wanted to talk about it with some knowledge going in, other than just what I happen to remember from middle school, which is practically nothing. It's a a Native American mound, which was presumably like a burial mound or an effigy to I mean, it's called an effigy mound, so it probably very much a tribute to ancestry, or the ancestry of the people who built it. And it's really incredible. It's over 1,000 feet long, which in meters is about like 400 meters, and or over 400 meters. And it's, if from above you can see, like, you can't tell from ground level exactly what it is that you're looking at, but from above it is a massive snake that is like like swallowing an egg or some sort of circular object, which I think is meant to be an egg, like a snake swallowing an egg. It's very cool. You should definitely Wikipedia it if you haven't if you haven't seen it before. It's nifty. I said nifty again. I gotta stop saying that word. It's so dorky. I feel like Ned Flanders. Like, wow. Okay. Whoops. Blowing up. Anywho, so from above, you can tell what it is, but from ground level, you can't. And that is another thing that I wanted to be going on here, in this park. Uh, the other inspiration, this sort of comes into play with the other inspiration that I mentioned, and that's negative space, which, if you've taken a high school art class, you're probably familiar with the concept of, instead of looking at an object and drawing it, instead you draw the space around it. And so I started off the build by using the landscape painting tool to kind of create different air like rounded off areas, and like, oh, different paths around the park. I don't know, I couldn't think of the word path for a second, but different paths around the park. So from above, you can see, like, from this level where I'm building it, you can see that it's, different paths in different areas. But as you can see in the screenshots later, you can't tell from ground level what's around the corner. So, the trees and the tall bushes and everything, if you were a sim walking around in this park, you would, have to walk around to see like what was around in the different sections of the park. So there's sort of like a, the fountain with the chess tables and everything. There are some easels in that area, so they're sort of just like the recreational, or I don't know, maybe thinker area. So I used some of the statues from the Romantic Garden stuff pack in that section, and the fountain from the Romantic Garden stuff pack. I also used the wishing well from the Romantic Garden stuff pack. So there's a lot of Romantic Garden here. I used the woohoo bushes from Get Together. So there are a few of those like peppered around the park in certain spots. And I also did use from the luxury party stuff pack the banquet tables, because I wanted it to be easy for your sims. If you wanted to have like a sim wedding in this build, you could just add in a wedding arch, and there would be, areas for you to serve drinks and food for the guests. So I wanted it to be like kind of an upscale sort of park. I was actually thinking about, um, if you have ever seen Parks and Recreation, which if you haven't, you absolutely should. That is probably my favorite comedy show of all time. It's so funny, and the whole, there's like this ongoing joke in Parks and Recreation. They live in a town called Pawnee, Indiana, and their neighboring town, that their rival town, is called Eagleton, and everything in Eagleton is like really like ridiculously fancy and expensive, and so I was thinking like this would be like an Eagleton Park. Like it's really upscale and pretty, and you know, a kind of park that the city would have to spend a lot of money to like upkeep and maintain because of the, you know, the landscaping and, you know, having sort of glamorous sort of objects around like the, you know, the luxury party banquet tables. And anyway, I just wanted it to look really nice and you know, a nice place for your Sims to go and spend time. So there is, you know, the rest area, which you saw built early on. This is sort of like just a little campfire area. There's, of course, like the playground area and the wishing well, which I love that item. It's a really fun little gameplay item, but I don't like to put it on like houses. Maybe if it was like a big house. I'm actually planning on building a big house later. So maybe I might consider putting the wishing well on like a big house, or, you know, like an estate type place. But I usually will, if I'm going to use the wishing well, I'll put them in parks because it's not something that I would want to incorporate in my gameplay all the time. But I could see my Sims making a special trip to the park and, you know, throwing a coin in the wishing well every now and then. So that's why I put the wishing well in my park, which I normally do, put those in parks. So this is random, but I had to stop recording for a second because there was somebody at my door and I'd completely forgotten that I had ordered a shower curtain. Um, it's just kind of funny because, well, what's not funny is a couple months ago, I had an issue where our bathroom ceiling, there was a massive leak. We live in an old building and there are like old pipes and they have a tendency to burst and leak. And so we've had issues with that. And when I had this issue a couple months ago, the handymen who fixed, they like knocked out my entire ceiling to, the entire ceiling of my bathroom anyway, to fix the pipe work in the ceiling and the leak. Um, and they destroyed my shower curtain. And my boyfriend bought a like a replacement shower curtain, and it's the ugliest shower curtain I've ever seen in my life. I was like, ugh, dude, that's so gross. Why would you get that thing? Um, but yeah, I just got a new one and it's beautiful. So we're in the screenshots now, and so you can just see what I was talking about earlier, where the Sims have to sort of like walk around the park. You can see how high the landscaping and the trees are. There's somebody passed out in one of the get together bushes. And yeah, so you can just sort of see like the paths around the park and how pretty it would be to spend an afternoon there and paint and play and have a good time. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I very much appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you guys soon. Take care and have a wonderful day.